When survival becomes your identity, softness becomes your revolution. Welcome to the Soft Girl Era podcast, where we unlearn survival and reclaim the softness we were always meant to embody. I recently had the profound honor of sitting down with CJ Hornies, a visionary force in the music industry who is redefining what it means to build an empire, not from a place of hustle, but from a place of healing. CJ is the founder of Align Entertainment, a record label that doesn't just manage artists, it nurtures souls. And what makes CJ's story so powerful, so necessary for this moment, is that they didn't arrive at this work through privilege or ease. They arrived here through fire, through survival, through every reason to stay hard, and yet they chose softness anyway. CJ is making the world a better place by proving that your past does not get to write your future, and that the most revolutionary thing you can do is choose to heal out loud. CJ's journey is one of transformation that will shake you to your core. From running away at 16 to escape an abusive home, to becoming a teen mom, to navigating homelessness while pregnant and sleeping in a car, to surviving relationships with narcissistic partners who mirrored the very abuse they fled from as a child. CJ has lived what so many of us have lived, that relentless cycle of trying to outrun pain, only to find it waiting for us in different faces, different spaces, different relationships that feel hauntingly familiar. And yet here they are, not broken, not bitter, not defined by what tried to destroy them, but building something beautiful. CJ is living proof that your past does not get to write your future, and that softness is not what happens when you've healed. Softness is how you heal. Let's talk about what survival mode really costs us. Because here's the truth we don't say out loud enough: survival mode is not a badge of honor, it's a trauma response. And for so many Black women, survival mode has been our default setting for so long that we've confused it with strength. We've been taught that to be strong means to be hard, to be unshakable, to carry everyone and everything without flinching. We've been taught that softness is weakness, that rest is laziness, that boundaries are selfish. And so we've spent years, decades even, performing strength while our souls were screaming for a break. CJ shared something with me during our conversation that I cannot stop thinking about. They said that for years they believed that if they could just survive one more thing, if they could just get through one more hardship, then they would finally be safe. But safety never came, because survival mode doesn't lead to safety. It leads to exhaustion. It leads to burnout. It leads to a life where you're so busy protecting yourself that you forget how to enjoy yourself. And this is where the soft girl era becomes not just a lifestyle, but a revolution. Because choosing softness in a world that has taught you survival is an act of defiance. It is a refusal to let your trauma define your identity. It is a declaration that you are more than what you've endured, and that your life can be more than just making it through. CJ's story is a masterclass in releasing the cape. You know, the cape I'm talking about, the Superwoman cape, the one that says you have to do it all, be it all, carry it all, and never let anyone see you struggle. CJ wore that cape for years. They wore it as a teen mom trying to prove they could make it. They wore it as someone experiencing homelessness, determined not to be defined by their circumstances. They wore it in relationships where they gave everything and received crumbs in return. And eventually that cape became so heavy that it nearly crushed them. But here's what CJ learned, and what they want every woman listening to understand: dropping the cape doesn't make you weak. It makes you wise, it makes you free, it makes space for the life you actually want, not just the life you've been conditioned to accept. Think about this for a moment. How many of us are walking around right now wearing capes we never asked for? Capes that were handed to us by family expectations, by cultural norms, by a society that told us we had to be twice as good to get half as much. How many of us are so tired that we can barely stand, but we keep going because we think that's what strength looks like. CJ is here to tell you that real strength looks different. Real strength is knowing when to say no. Real strength is setting boundaries without guilt. Real strength is choosing peace over performance. Real strength is admitting when something is too much and asking for help anyway. One of the most powerful moments in our conversation was when CJ talked about redefining strength. They said that for so long, they thought strength meant never asking for help, never showing vulnerability, never admitting when something was too much. But now they understand that real strength is not about how much you can carry. It's about knowing what's worth carrying in the first place. And this is the shift that the soft girl era invites us into. It's not about becoming fragile or passive. It's about becoming intentional. It's about understanding that you don't have to earn rest. You don't have to justify joy. And you don't have to apologize for protecting your peace. CJ is now building Eline Entertainment from this place of intentionality. They're managing artists, yes, but they're doing it differently. They're creating a space where creativity and mental health are equally valued, where success is not measured by how much you sacrifice, but by how much you thrive, where artists are seen as whole human beings, not just products to be marketed. And this approach, this softness, is what's making their work so impactful. Because here's the thing: softness is not the absence of strength. Softness is strength that has learned to breathe. Softness is strength that has learned to trust. Softness is strength that has learned that you don't have to fight every battle to prove you're a warrior. Let's talk about healing in real time, because this is where CJ's story gets even more profound. They didn't wait until they had it all figured out to start building their dream. They didn't wait until they were fully healed to start helping others. They started where they were with what they had while still tending to their own wounds. And that's the lesson. Healing is not a destination, it's a practice. It's something you do while you're living, not something you wait to finish before you start living. CJ shared that one of the hardest parts of their healing journey was learning to recognize patterns. They kept attracting the same type of partner, the same type of dynamic, the same type of pain. And for a long time, they blamed themselves. They thought, what's wrong with me? Why do I keep choosing this? But through therapy, through self reflection, through community, they began to understand that it wasn't about choosing wrong. It was about not yet knowing what right felt like. When survival is all you've known, chaos feels like home. And breaking that cycle requires not just leaving toxic situations, but learning to sit in the discomfort of peace. This is the work. This is the real work. Learning to be soft in a world that taught you survival means learning to tolerate goodness. It means learning to accept love that doesn't hurt. It means learning to trust yourself enough to walk away from anything that requires you to shrink. And CJ is doing that work every single day. They're building a business that reflects their values. They're surrounding themselves with people who honor their boundaries. They're creating art and opportunity from a place of abundance, not scarcity. And they're doing it all while still healing, still growing, still learning. Because that's what the soft girl era is really about. It's not about perfection, it's about permission. Permission to be human, permission to be soft, permission to be free. Now, let's talk about protecting peace as a practice, because this is where the rubber meets the road. CJ told me that one of the most transformative things they've learned is that peace is not something you find, it's something you create. And creating peace requires boundaries. It requires saying no to things that drain you, even when those things look like opportunities. It requires disappointing people who have grown comfortable with your overextension. It requires choosing yourself again and again and again, even when it feels selfish. But here's the truth, it's not selfish, it's sacred. Your peace is sacred, your joy is sacred, your rest is sacred. And anything that threatens those things does not deserve access to you. CJ is now fiercely protective of their peace. They've learned to recognize red flags early. They've learned to trust their intuition. They've learned that not every opportunity is their opportunity, and not every person is their person. And this discernment, this clarity, is what allows them to show up fully in the spaces and relationships that truly matter. This is the power of the soft girl era. It teaches us that we don't have to be everything to everyone. We don't have to say yes to every request. We don't have to prove our worth through productivity. We can simply be. And in that being, in that softness, we find the strength to build lives that actually feel good, not just lives that look good. Let's talk about purpose beyond pain. Because CJ's story could have ended in bitterness. It could have ended in resentment. It could have ended in a hardened heart that refused to trust or love or dream again, but it didn't. Instead, CJ took every ounce of pain they experienced and transformed it into purpose. They're now using their platform to create opportunities for artists who might not otherwise have a chance. They're building a legacy that honors their journey without being defined by it. They're proving that you can acknowledge your past without letting it dictate your future. And this is the invitation for all of us. Your pain does not have to be your identity. Your trauma does not have to be your story. You can honor what you've survived while also celebrating who you're becoming. You can hold space for both the hard and the soft, the struggle and the joy, the past and the possibility. CJ Horns is making the world a better place, not by pretending the pain didn't happen, but by refusing to let it have the final word. They're showing us that softness is not what you do after you've survived. Softness is how you reclaim your life. Softness is how you rewrite the narrative. Softness is how you win. So here's what I need you to hear. If you've been in survival mode for so long that you've forgotten what peace feels like, you're not alone. If you've been wearing the Superwoman cape for so long that you've forgotten who you are without it, you're not alone. If you've been giving and giving and giving until there's nothing left, then you're not alone. But it's time. It's time to drop the cape. It's time to release the roles that no longer serve you. It's time to protect your peace like your life depends on it, because it does. It's time to embrace softness, not as weakness, but as the most radical act of self love you can offer yourself. CJ Horns is living proof that you can survive the unimaginable and still choose joy. You can carry deep wounds and still build something beautiful. You can honor your strength while also embracing your softness. And you can redefine what success looks like on your own terms. This is your soft girl era. This is your time. Not someday, not when things calm down, not when you finally finish that project or pay off that debt or lose that weight or get that promotion. Now, right now. This moment is your invitation to choose differently. I want you to think about one thing you're going to do this week to honor your softness. Maybe it's saying no to something that drains you. Maybe it's taking a nap without guilt. Maybe it's setting a boundary with someone who's been taking advantage of your kindness. Maybe it's simply sitting in silence and asking yourself, what do I actually want? Because here's what CJ taught me and what I want to leave you with today. The world will always need something from you. Your job will always have one more task. Your family will always have one more request. Your community will always have one more cause. And if you wait for permission to rest, if you wait for the world to tell you it's okay to be soft, you will wait forever. So give yourself permission right here, right now. permission to rest without explanation, permission to say no without guilt, permission to choose yourself without apology, permission to be soft in a world that taught you survival. This is not selfishness. This is survival of a different kind. This is the kind of survival that leads to thriving. This is the kind of survival that leads to joy. This is the kind of survival that leads to a life that doesn't just look good on the outside, but feels good on the inside. Your soft girl era is waiting. And trust me, that softness, that courage, that choice, it will change everything. Not just for you, but for everyone who's been watching you carry that cape for far too long. Because when you give yourself permission to be soft, you give everyone around you permission too. And that is how we change the world. One boundary, one breath, one bold choice at a time.